True power doesn't introduce itself. It doesn't shake hands or clear its throat before entering a room. It's already there, working quietly underneath everything, steering outcomes that nobody quite traces back to a source. Machiavelli understood this in a way that made his contemporaries deeply uncomfortable. Human beings don't operate on principle. They operate on perception. The version of you that lives in other people's minds is, for all practical purposes, more real than you are. So the thing most worth guarding isn't your integrity, it's your image. 1. Don't let your face tell the story. Letting your emotions play out in public is essentially handing someone a manual on how to get to you. The person watching you lose your composure doesn't need to say a word. They just file it away. Not for now, maybe, but for whenever it becomes useful. Calm isn't the same as cold. It's something sharper. The ability to stay still when everything around you is moving. In a confrontation, the one who doesn't take the bait holds the room. Anger reads as readable, which makes it manageable. Stillness, on the other hand, is harder to decode, and people are instinctively wary of what they can't read. 2. Don't explain yourself more than once. Every time you reach for a justification, you're signaling that someone else's opinion has power over you. It might look like honesty. It might even feel like it. But underneath, it's a quiet concession, an admission that you need to be understood before you can move forward. People who carry real weight don't rush to explain their reasoning. They act, and they let the action stand. Over-explaining doesn't build trust. More often, it creates suspicion where there wasn't any. The more you defend, the more it looks like there's something worth defending against. 3. Don't make yourself smaller to fit the room. The instinct to be liked by everyone is one of the most effective ways to be taken seriously by no one. When every word you say is quietly adjusted to avoid friction, when every opinion comes with a cushion, you stop being a person with a perspective and become a mirror, reflecting back whatever the room wants to see. Respect and likability are not the same currency. Likability gets spent quickly. Respect compounds. It comes from consistency, from a certain stillness of character, from not needing the room to validate what you already know about yourself. Machiavelli's logic was simple. The less you appear to need from people, the more they find themselves gravitating toward you. 4. Don't fill silence, just because it's there. Every word is a disclosure. Speak freely, speak at length, and you've handed over your thinking, your uncertainty, your tells. Speak less, and the other person has to work, has to guess, interpret, project. And projection almost always inflates. The well-timed pause does something a speech can't. It puts pressure on the other side. Silence that you're comfortable with becomes silence that someone else has to fill. In a tense exchange, refusing to respond isn't weakness. It sends the weight of the moment right back across the table. The person waiting for your reaction suddenly has to sit with their own. 5. Don't announce the move before you make it. Telling people what you're planning is an open invitation to be stopped. Opposition rarely forms around things that have already happened. It forms around things that have been announced. The moment you lay out your intentions, you give everyone who might be inconvenienced by them time to organize. Move without narrating. Let the result speak first. There's something about a person who acts without explaining themselves that holds attention in a way that press releases never do. People follow what they can't fully predict. 6. Don't make a public display of your principles. Declaring your values loudly in public feels principled. It might even be received that way at first. But what it actually does is draw a perimeter. You've shown people exactly where you'll dig in and where you won't. And in doing so, you've given them a blueprint. The The first time you act inconsistently with what you've proclaimed, and everyone does eventually, the gap gets magnified. The higher the pedestal, the harder the landing. Values that show up in behavior, quietly and without announcement, tend to stick far longer than values that get delivered as speeches. 7. Don't let doubt show. Hesitation is readable, and the wrong people know how to read it. When a leader visibly wavers, something shifts in the room, not necessarily toward hostility, but toward opportunity. People are drawn to whoever seems to know where they're headed, even when that certainty is more posture than fact. This isn't about pretending to have all the answers. It's about understanding that direction matters more than certainty. A decisive move made with incomplete information often does more to stabilize a situation than a perfectly reasoned analysis delivered with visible anxiety. Steadiness, for most people, is a learned behavior, a trained reflex, not a personality trait. 8. Don't wear your network on your sleeve. There's a particular kind of person who signals influence by name-dropping, mentioning who they know, what favors they're owed, which doors they can open. It seems like a show of strength. What it actually does is hand a detailed map to anyone who might want to work around you. Once people know who backs you and who you're indebted to, they know where to apply pressure. The alliances that carry real weight tend to be the ones that aren't obvious, the ones whose effects people notice without being able to pinpoint the cause. A door that opens without explanation is far more impressive than one you had to announce. 9. Don't mistake silence for absence. This one gets overlooked most often, and it's arguably the most important. Machiavelli kept coming back to it. The threat isn't the person making noise. It's the person in the corner, saying very little, watching everything. Every shift in your posture, every slight change in tone, every word you reach for under pressure. It's all material for someone paying close enough attention. The quiet person across the room isn't disengaged. They might already be 3 steps ahead. Treating their silence as indifference is the kind of mistake that doesn't announce itself until it's already cost you something. A final thought. Public life is a negotiation that never stops. Every interaction is also an exchange of perceptions, and perception, once settled in someone's mind, is remarkably hard to shift. Don't perform your emotions. Don't justify yourself to every raised eyebrow. Don't contort yourself for approval. Don't speak to fill the air. Don't telegraph your next move. Don't make your values a public promise. Don't let doubt show on your face. Don't put your relationships on display. And don't write off the people who say the least. Machiavelli didn't write for tyrants. He wrote for people willing to look at the world honestly. Not the world they wished existed, but the one that actually does.